There was never a time where I thought there was something really wrong.
I could see her spine completely through her back. I could see every one of her ribs through her chest.
What am I going to do, like inject her with liposuction? And what is the doctor's going to do? But I'm used to dealing with a lot of dead bodies with the farm.
Yeah.
So I know what they look like.
Do you feel responsible in any way for what happened today?
I feel like that's a bit of a trap question, but
no. Or do you just
straight on?
This is Seth Welch, a 27-year-old father of 3. On August 2nd, 2018, in Solon Township, Michigan, his wife told him about finding their 10-month-old daughter lifeless in her crib. For 2 hours on the morning his daughter died, Seth Welch did not call 911. He called his parents, who are both lawyers. He read celebrity news on his phone. He texted a buyer about a goat he was selling. "Available any time," he said. When he finally called 911, the dispatcher asked how he was doing. He replied, "You know, it's just another day. It is what it is."
We found her. She was already believed to be deceased, right?
Yes.
And that's when you consulted with a lawyer?
Yep.
Do you believe she was beyond help already?
Oh, yeah, it was bad as a door.
But looking at your daughter, looking back, you as a parent, as a father, didn't you have any concern for her, looking at her?
Yes, I did.
But you just didn't think it was concern that the medical field could fix?
One, I would say somewhat. Two, I was kind of more in that I have never encountered a health problem where basically if you don't do the right things and be patient, that it works itself out, especially with the kids. I get as we get older, there's other things. I was not happy about how thin she was, but I also, you know, have the belief that, you know, God didn't make us all, you know.
The same.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of chalked it up to that. I was not happy about how skinny she was. Just like, if you look in the house, you can see all the baby food. That's potatoes with chicken and cheese, and everything matches up with what I'm saying. I guess
Did your
she was always very healthy. She was never sick.
She acted that way. So.
Yeah, so it never, if she had been sickly in any way, it would have been, okay, that's it. She's sickly and skinny, but she was always just skinny.
Anne Welch was 10 months old and 8 pounds, barely a pound more than the day she was born. Seth grew up in Grand Haven on Michigan's west coast as the son of 2 attorneys. He graduated from Grand Haven High in 2009 and later met Tatiana at a community college in Grand Rapids. She described them as college sweethearts. Seth didn't follow his parents into law. In 2012, he became a farmer, selling produce, syrup, and honey from his house under the name Blackacre Farm Products. At this point, his record only showed retail fraud and illegal entry. Around 2013, he described himself as a patriot and a gun nut. In 2014, a doctor recommended a corrective helmet for his firstborn's head. The Welches refused, and the doctor reported them to Child Protective Services. Seth claimed the paperwork was forged. He never let it go. 4 years later, the grievance had become his main message.
We're going to be just a minute yet. I'm working on a different case, so I want to make sure you're okay. Do you need a bathroom? Do you need a drink?
I'd like to call my lawyer if that's okay. My phone's right here.
Yep, I'll get that for you in a minute.
Okay.
Who's your lawyer?
My mom.
Oh, is it? Who's your
Yeah.
mom?
Judy Bregman.
Oh, I don't think I've ever heard of her. So we'll get that for you in a minute. You don't need any beverages or anything? All right, I'll get you with you in a minute, okay?
Okay.
Man, sorry about that. We're in there with Tatiana. It's taking a while to get through it. So.
Let me give her a chair.
Hold on.
Seth, I don't know if you remember my name or not. It's Jason. This is my sergeant. Same name, Jason. Different last name.
Seth, I want to talk. I wasn't in on when you guys are speaking. I'd like to just get some background information just on your marriage, all that kind of stuff. If you're ever doing that. I know earlier you talked to these guys in the car and they advised of your rights. Just due to the simple fact that we're sitting in the sheriff's department interview room, those same rights still apply. Do you remember those rights? You want me to read them to you again? Was the card that they showed them to you for the same card as this? I'll stick that in front of you just as a refresher so you have them if you need them. But I'm sorry you're going through this. I told you that earlier. But how long have you is it Tatiana, right? I can keep it
Tatiana.
Tatiana. How long have you guys been married?
I don't know how long we've been married for, like 3 years. March 2015, I think.
Okay.
We've been together since September 2011.
Okay. And are all of your children your guys' children? Okay. Can you tell me about the birth?
I mean, like...
So just where was she born?
I am very anti-medical industry is because of what happened with her birth. She coughed one time, and so they said that they had to keep her under observation for 72 hours to make sure she didn't have a breathing problem. She didn't have a breathing problem. She coughed one time to clear some birth fluid out of her lungs.
Right.
And they kept us under observation for 72 hours.
All the while you're paying for it?
Of course, yeah, the bill was about $15,000. So, so that was kind of a kick in the rear. And then afterwards, we had some problems where I actually had a doctor make a fraudulent CPS claim, and I actually forged paperwork and stuff like that. And I tried to make a complaint about it, but nobody listens.
That was also more of a get-rich scheme, wasn't it? Kind of
Yeah.
like I'm gonna make some money off from a product that someone really doesn't need.
Yes. He issued two separate flavors, forms of paperwork. One that had a bunch of notes on it saying all sorts of bad healthcare things we were doing wrong with a CPS person, and the copy of the paperwork he gave to us which said she was fine. So, so that was about my last straw with it.
Was that to do with the helmet? And is that what so it all started with? If I'm right, it all started with the helmet.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
well, it all started with the cough, but to the helmet.
I'm not a big fan of a lot of the immunization stuff, and so I kind of balked against that, and they didn't like that either. You know, they even got to the point where they, the first time we changed doctors, they called CPS on us just for changing doctors, because the doctor we were seeing was all the way in Byron Center from Cedar Springs. So they called CPS on us because we changed doctors and didn't give them enough notice. Or
didn't give who enough notice?
So, you know, I'm done with medical stuff. We're home birthing. It's
the way to go anyways, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's what I heard. Like, hey, I'm coming whether you're ready or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So yeah. So there you go. That's about.
So, and you know, and that's kind of what Tatiana explained too, is that she was going through immunization. She was with, and everything was kind of okay, but there was, both of you had done some research and you weren't too keen on immunizations. And then come along the helmet. You guys wanted to get a second opinion on the helmet, so you don't need anything. And so you chose not to get a helmet, and then that's kind of when the CPS referral came along, and the failure to thrive type referral, if this is sounding correct. And then you guys, and you remember She was born?
Yeah, she's, well, I guess I had it refreshed today. I guess from what Tatiana said, she's 14 ounces. So.
And then how much,
7, 2.
and were they all about the same length-ish right
They're
now?
all the same size. There's I was born to
oh, yeah.
21 inches, like we're all the same.
Yeah. And then like exactly the same?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What's the odds of that?
Yeah, and she was even earlier too. That's why I just didn't. It never, bothered me too much that she was skinny because she came out.
Yeah. Yeah. So you skinny. When did it like dawn on you that she's thin?
Oh, just when she came out. I mean,
She's
she
been
came.
thin.
Yeah.
But now, Tatiana, was she going to labor?
She had just been up pacing around all night, and then the baby started sliding out. And things are a lot easier when you do them at home, I'll tell you what.
Well, yeah, you don't have to drive anywhere.
Yeah. And the position they put you in the hospital is very, just bad medicine, just whatever.
What position are you at home?
And you just stand up.
Do you really?
Yeah, and the gravity just shoots the baby right now. They don't have you up, facing upward, pushing against the gravity. It makes no sense.
No, it actually would make sense if you think about it.
Yeah.
Never seen it. So you have to just kind of be under there, like you're like the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Ann was born at home, weighing 6 pounds, 14 ounces. The midwife said she was healthy. Mary had 2 older siblings. Her parents claimed she was born early, but the midwife later testified that Mary was full term, and she never told them otherwise.
And on that day?
Yeah, she got up there. She was late for the delivery. She checked over the baby, said she's healthy, and
Is that what she does? A midwife, they kind of tie off their tubes or whatever it is they have to do, and
yes. They do the dirty work that anybody could do. It's just a lot of us aren't. A lot of us just aren't willing to do it. But yeah, really, they mop up the blood and they go over your check sheet of check this to see if the baby's healthy.
Yeah.
So.
And then do they do all the recording of birth, or is that something you guys do, or?
I think-ish.
Yeah, it seems like they would.
My wife kind of deals with more of the paperwork.
Yeah, I'll blame you there. So you said that. So you weren't concerned about her being skinny.
I get comments that she's bigger than some 6-year-old boys now.
Mm-hmm.
Same size, skinny, but it just took a while, and then after I think it was about 10 months to a year, she started really putting on weight, and now you saw her.
Yep. And she didn't need a helmet. Her head looks just fine.
Yeah.
So was Tatiana working?
No.
So Tatiana was home, and she did all the feedings, right from the source. If Tatiana went to Meyer,
yes,
and that was in case she needed to latch on, type thing.
Yeah.
So, because with the other 2, Tatiana would leave a food source at home because she was working some.
When she would go to the farmer's market for farm produce business. But last year, which is last year's, we did that. She took both kids with her pretty much every time.
Okay.
Where I couldn't go to market anymore, so I stayed home.
Stay home, work on the farm.
Yep.
So feeding the children has never been a real part of your responsibility.
A little bit. I've been feeding like her dinner, I feed her tons of solid food. I feed her 3 or 4 of those, those Gerber cups.
Yep.
And she just wolf them right down, no problem.
Were you guys buying solid food or making solid food?
Both.
Okay. What were you making?
If we made anything, it was just like sweet potatoes grinded up, and she made the bacon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what she was saying is what she could recall is like some vegetables out of your garden.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe whatever it was you had growing at that time.
Yeah.
And then she'd throw something in it, maybe breast milk, to make the vegetables more palatable. Whatever that word is.
Palatable.
Yeah. And then she would make like a little fruit smoothie, maybe some blueberries, some non like that. And then she did say that potatoes and stuff like that. When did you guys start with her on solid foods?
It's been a couple months now. Since the beginning of summer.
Okay. Okay.
I would want to say maybe since April, because that's when Tatiana started working at her job. So basically, we were only going to let her was eating solid foods just fine.
Yep.
So I would say April.
Okay. And then that was supplementing nursing with solids. Has solids ever completely taken over? Was nursing still?
She still nurses, yeah.
Okay, so what would you say was her primary, nursing or the solids? Or we can't say that?
I can't scientifically say. I'd say probably at this point we were really working on trying to make it more solid food only, especially because my wife's pregnant again. So, you know how that all works.
I do know how that works.
Right. So you're trying to get her over to just be on solid.
Yeah. So you're more familiar with this than me, with having younger kids. Typically, at what age is it that they switch over to solids? Do you remember?
Nope.
Nope, me neither. Do you remember?
I don't.
Yeah.
I thought it was when they started teething, but
I'll bet you all of our wives know.
Right. Right. Yeah, you're supposed. I think you're supposed to transition it in starting at starting at 6 months. You're supposed to transition it in, and then by 2 years old, the kids are supposed to be
Okay. All right.
off the teat.
Off the teeth. I'm sorry.
Tatiana.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
That's my mistake. Tatiana would work, and when she started working, she started with fewer hours. She started working 4-hour shifts, I think it was.
Yeah, like 3-4 days a week. Yeah.
And then she moved up to, now she's working,
Basically full time.
was it like 3 to 11?
3 to 11, yeah.
Okay. When did that begin? You remember about when-ish?
July 4th.
Okay. So starting July 4th, did more of the responsibilities of...
Yeah, I guess so.
So from 3 p.m., because I know obviously when Tatiana was there and she would nurse her, did she leave you bottles of breast milk to nurse her, or did you not nurse?
No, we just had, that's when I would give her solid food.
Okay. So she would leave work 2:30 ish, I'm assuming, and how many times?
But what the normal schedule is Tatiana puts baby down at 2:30. I've got some time to kind of let my brain simmer down because get up and work in the morning.
Yeah.
So let my brain have some time to simmer down. Kids have quiet time, and then they're up again by 4:35, and then I'm up with. Or I might feed her 2 of the cups, pick her up for a half hour, walk around so the food settles, and then come back and feed her the rest, and then take her outside for an hour, hour and a half. Then bring her back and put her back down.
So dinner time is 5.
Yeah, it was nothing too, we're not too, regulated. We're not too uptight, but, yeah, generally, she'd get up, let's just say general timing, it'd be up again, 4:30 to 5. She'd eat 5:30, be back in bed by 6:30.
And then, she'll be back in bed at 6:30, then when was the next feeding?
A lot of times I think that's probably my wife breastfeeds her at night.
Oh, when she got home from work?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I wouldn't really know about that.
Because you'd usually be in bed by then?
So
Early mornings on the farm?
Yeah. So so my wife might breastfeed her in the middle of the night, or breakfast time when she gets up again.
So typically speaking, that dinner meal would be because then she would sleep till your wife got home, and so that would be the last. So you have to just feed her really
once.
Yeah. Or if she wanted to goof off a little bit before feedings, you might split that once up into twice. So at what point did you guys become concerned about her weight?
Okay, so it's always kind of been there. It's always been something that we've watched. However, it never seemed to cause, because it never did. But I just know you guys are watching my words, so it never caused her. Let's put it this way: she never was sickly in any way, slow, lethargic. No health indicators that said anything was wrong, other than that she was skinny, which I just didn't let it get to me, because, like I said, very skinny. She started putting on weight recently. We really started pounding the solid food down in the last month or so. Really making sure she gets some chicken, potatoes, cheese, stuff.
So when you started putting the high proteins, how recently was that?
Month or two.
Okay.
And
because that's what Tatiana said, is that probably the last month or two is when you guys actually became a little concerned about the weight.
Yeah, but I kind of was like, because my mom's always been honest about it. Always.
She's always on you. Get some food in this kid.
Yeah, she always says, yeah, wait, are you guys feeding him? Mom, go look at the garbage. I mean, I can't feed the kid enough.
Right.
She just.
When was the last time your mom was on you about it? But that's
here's the thing. Here's the thing. The last time my mom said something about it, she said that she. Wait.
Oh, okay.
So that's why.
So you thought you were in the right direction. When was that?
Last week, Sunday.
Not this last Sunday, the one before that?
Yes.
Okay. And you were at your mom's, or she was at your place?
She was at our house.
And she thought that she was gaining weight?
She remarked that her cheeks seemed a lot fuller.
Okay.
I don't remember that specifically,
So a month or two ago, you two became concerned and started putting some proteins to her, some chickens and cheeses and whatever, just trying to bulk her up a little bit. And did you believe it was starting to work?
I seemed to definitely notice that she was getting heavier. Tatiana mentioned it to me. My mom mentioned it to me, so I would say yes.
So Tatiana thought she was getting healthier too, and that she was getting bigger? Okay.
Because she's always been growing long, she's just never put the meat, never put the meat on.
Right, yeah. So Tatiana, correct me if this is wrong, Tatiana said that, and kind of what you said, but especially about the last month, you guys became concerned that you started very consistently and regularly, heartily praying over, Lord, help her gain weight. Does that sound right?
I don't, she may have. I haven't really been so much.
Okay.
But I'm glad to hear she was.
Yep. So you guys, you when she started losing her weight, you thought maybe it was just a growing spurt, and she had lost weight, and so she was getting. And is that what you attributed her? I'm sorry, not the weight loss, the sleeping, to a growth spurt? Is that what you attributed it to?
I've done this, I think, maybe 3 times in the last week where she slept so long I had to nudge Tatiana and make some jokes now that
Yeah, I know.
You know, but you don't really think
No.
too much of it at the time. So, sorry.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
So yeah, there's been a couple mornings where she had been sleeping for 15, 16 hours straight, and you know, Tati just went and woke her up, and she woke right up. Oh, look who's a hungry baby, kind of thing, you know. So today when it happened, I didn't really think anything of it differently. I just thought it was, oh, another sleepy baby. You know, she was, especially, you know, my wife like keeps her up all morning, so she's just exhausted sometimes by the time she goes to bed. And you know, if she doesn't make a peep, if she doesn't make a sound, or if she's in there and you know everything, as far as I know, everything is fine when she's put down, I mean, I'm not inclined to wake the kid up.
Right, sure. But so do you bathe? Did you ever bathe her?
I didn't know.
Do you ever change her diaper?
Oh yeah.
When was the last time that you figured you changed?
It might have been yesterday morning.
Because I'm saying, I'd imagine when Tatiana goes to work leaves at 2:30.
Oh, usually when she gets up to eat, I would change her diapers.
Then you got daddy duty, where you're changing diapers and stuff.
Yeah.
But Seth, here's the thing: is that she's so tiny. Was there never a time that you just like, well, there's something really wrong?
There was never a time where I thought there was something really wrong. I did say to Tatiana, you know, hey, you know, with her being the age she is, let's really try to see if, like, the protein, the fat and the protein, as her digestive system is developed, let's see if that kicks things into gear, and if not, you know, let's go see a doctor. Because, you know, she's a skinny little girl.
When did you have that conversation?
I think it might have been 2 weeks ago. Yeah, because even at that point I was just a little, you know, how's it going to hurt?
So how much, 2 weeks ago, how much did you figure that she weighed?
I don't know.
Well, was she the same size now, smaller, bigger?
I don't know.
Okay. So today, tell me about today. I know it's tough.
Yeah, you know, I just kind of like woke up like a regular day. I wasn't feeling very well last night. So I kind of, I slept in because I didn't sleep very well. I think I rolled out of bed like 8 to 8:30, took care of some chores, and then I lay back down. And then my wife told me she was going to go right up the street to the neighbor's house to go get some kids. And when she came back, I woke up, and then I guess she decided, you know, tell me Mary stuff, and that's that.
So what did you do when she told you that?
I split out of bed and raced to the room, and you know.
So you're helpless, right? Like, what? You didn't know what to do.
What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
I could tell she was dead from looking at her.
But Tatiana couldn't.
She's a mom.
Right.
She's so.
Yep.
I'm used to dealing with a lot of dead bodies with the farm.
Yeah.
So I know what they look like. That was that.
So what did Tatiana do?
She tried to do CPR.
So were you in there when she was doing? Were you in the same room with her when she was trying CPR?
Yeah, yeah.
And then what were you doing?
She's the one who knows how to do all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I was looking and watching and
Just
thinking about what to do, thinking about, you know, just trying to think about what to do next.
So what did you do next?
Call my dad.
Okay, and then what did you tell your dad?
I don't know what to do.
What did he say?
Well, I kind of figured I was supposed to call the police. I don't know. I don't have any experience with it now.
Sure.
Well, I didn't then. I do now. So I just called him and said, hey, should I call the police or what? I don't know how this works. And he said, yeah, we'll be on the way. Call them when we get there, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It had been about an hour and some change, and I was starting to get impatient because I did not want to. I know how it looks when people wait to make a police call, so I just.
Mm-hmm. So you called prior to your.
So I got impatient. I called them back. Like, are you guys here yet? Because it's like 11:05 now. I don't want to. I knew there was going to be a process too, so I wanted to get things going.
Yeah.
And they were in Seizure at the gas station, and they're like, yeah, we'll be there. And so then I called you guys.
So, because obviously you're an intelligent man, so obviously for us, and you just said it yourself, it looks weird, right? But I'm saying you didn't know what you're doing, but in our world, we deal with this a lot, and so we don't know every single person in the county and everyone's personalities.
Sure. And I wanted to just call you guys first, but I was following my legal advice. So
yeah.
I'm sorry if that is a problem at all. I just doing what the lawyer told me to do.
No, and well, here's the thing. I'm not saying so. I'm just telling you. I'm just confirming what you said. It looks weird. That's all. We're not saying that you did something horrible in those 2 hours. We're just saying that it's not the norm. So,
sure.
So what did you guys do during the 2 hours?
I sat there and cried.
Yeah.
Tatiana called it her job.
Yeah.
We knew guests were coming.
Did you clean anything up?
Yeah, we cleaned up the house a little bit.
Why was that?
This is a mess. I knew we were going to have my parents over. So
Mom getting after you?
So we like.
So what all the house cleaning entail?
Wiping up the counter and sweeping the floor.
Okay. How'd the kids handle it?
They don't really get it. They don't really get it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But Seth, here's the thing. Looking back, you can't even weigh 8 pounds right now. She only 8 pounds.
Okay.
I know she weighs 6 pounds. She's tiny. Was that never an alarm for you? Was it never an alarm like, man, she's not where she needs to be? I can see all of her bones.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I just told you in regards to that matter. So yes, there was, which is what I told you. I also generally, I don't trust the medical system so much as other people. So when it says, oh, it needs to be this, the other, like I said, I had a doctor was mutant and needed a head-shaping helmet. I was told that she was underweight, fraudulently. I know how they work, and I know they're in business, and that healthy people don't make them any money.
So that kind of skewed your...
Yeah, it skewed the way, it changes the way that we do things a lot differently than most other people.
But looking at your daughter, looking back, you as a parent, as a father, didn't you have any concern for her, looking at her?
Yes, I did.
But you just didn't think it was concern that the medical field could fix?
One, I would say somewhat. Two, I was kind of more in that I have never encountered a health problem where basically if you don't do the right things and be patient, that it works itself out, especially with the kids. I get as we get older, there's other things. I was not happy about how thin she was, but I also, you know, have the belief that, you know, God didn't make us all, you know.
The same.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of chalked it up to that. I was not happy about how skinny she was. Just like, if you look in the house, you can see all the baby food. That's potatoes with chicken and cheese, and everything matches up with what I'm saying. I guess she was always very healthy. She was never sick.
She acted that way. So.
Yeah, so it never, if she had been sickly in any way, it would have been, okay, that's it. She's sickly and skinny. But she was always just skinny.
But Seth, that's where I'm going to disagree with you. Okay? I'm a parent. I'm a father. I have 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
He's a father. You're a father.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I'm just being honest with you. Okay? Because I don't know how to be anything other than. Okay? And I'm telling you right now, I've been doing this job for a long time. Okay? And he'll tell you when I walked in that bedroom today. All right? I started crying. Okay? I looked at that little baby, and I looked at her for a millisecond,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that she wasn't right. And I knew that she wasn't right for some time. Okay? And you're her father.
Yep. And I'll tell you, I saw her when she was dead too. She was much more gaunt when she was dead than she ever was when she was alive. I mean, I got pictures on my phone.
Yeah.
Right, but let me ask you this. When's the last time you saw that baby without any clothes on in a bath?
Me, I've never given her a bath.
Okay, but you changed her diaper
Mm-hmm.
maybe a day and a half ago, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not putting words in your mouth. You said that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How did you not, when you looked at her a day and a half ago changing her diaper, and realize that my daughter is skin and bones? When I looked at her belly in the house, okay, and I'm not exaggerating this.
Oh, I know.
I could see the outline of her intestines through her stomach. I could see her spine completely through her back. I could see every one of her ribs through her chest.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, like I said, I'm not happy about it either. You know, you're welcome to go through my garbage and look at the baby food containers, and
Seth, here's the thing. I'm certainly not knocking on his faith. I have the same faith in the same Creator that you have. Does your faith prevent you from allowing you to use medical services?
No.
So you would use medical services, or you would not? So it's just your experience that prevents you, not your faith.
No, in some ways, like for example, on the immunization, it started out with a rational concern, but yeah, faith-based, you'd have to strap us down to a table and put it in there.
Okay. Does that apply to your children too?
Yes.
Okay. So you wouldn't do.
Would I do anything different? Oh yeah, I totally would. I would have listened to my elders, and I would have taken her to go see a doctor.
Because that's what your parents were telling you.
You said your elders?
Yeah, older people who would say, oh, she's, like what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
So,
how far back would you go when you would do something different?
How far back would I go that I would do something different?
When would you have taken her?
When would I have taken her?
Knowing what you know today.
Knowing what I know today, I would probably take all the kids to the doctor, at least for preliminary stuff.
No, I'm talking about looking back. Was it a week ago? Was it 2 weeks ago? Was it 3 weeks ago? Was it a month ago? When would you have done something different? When you this didn't happen overnight. She didn't get this malnourished and skinny overnight. Okay, this is a lengthy process. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this has been going on for some time. That's what I'm asking. At what point, you knowing what you know today, if you could go back and reset the clock to try to prevent today, how far back do you think you would go?
During the trial, an expert said Mary Ann's bone marrow had stopped making new red or white blood cells. This meant her body could no longer carry oxygen or fight infections. The condition showed severe malnutrition and neglect. Mary was not getting the nutrients she needed to live, which was strong evidence of long-term lack of care.
I don't know, because I can't tell you. You know, maybe the first mention somebody had that I respected, that she was too skinny. That she was too
How
thin.
long ago was that?
I don't know. Like I said, she's been skinny since she was born.
So how many people that you respected have told you that?
My mom and my mom.
How was your dad? You probably figured Dad's just back in your mom's plate?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, today, at what point today did you and or Tatiana think, this doesn't look good? The size of her, all of this doesn't look good.
Today?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't. We kind of like woke up and she was dead. So
No, but I mean after that, when you were thinking that this is like, as far as it doesn't look good that we didn't get her the medical treatment or whatever. At what point today did you think that?
I don't know. I guess I haven't. I guess I haven't really worried about it too much.
Okay. Did Mom feel concerned because she knew the weight was so low, or what was your discussion like with her about that?
Yeah, she just mentioned that she's skinny.
Okay.
But you know, the thing is that it's like, yeah, she was skinny, but that would be like the only thing. It's like, okay, she's not skinny, and then she'd be fat, and it's just like, you know, everybody's always got something to nitpick about a baby kind of thing.
No, you're right about that. But Seth, there is a difference, and I have pictures. There is a difference between and Mary.
No, I know she was thin.
No, wasn't thin.
Yes, sir, I know. I picked her up. I know how skinny she was. It used to hurt. What am I going to do? Like inject her with liposuction? And what are the doctors going to do?
But because here's the thing.
There's more. You know what the leading causes of death in this country is, don't you?
Well,
yeah, it's medical malpractice.
It is. I'll give you that.
It's more dangerous. It's more dangerous to take your kid to the doctor than to leave them alone.
That's not what most people think. Most people think it's cops, but
I get what you're saying.
So there you go.
No, I get what you're saying on it, because there's some stats that go along with some of this. But here's what I'm saying though, is on this case, when we know, because I know you guys are doing what you're saying you're doing. I know you're feeding them protein. We can see it. We're not dumb either. We can look around the house like these guys are piling food in this girl. So when that's not working, then we know there's something. There's Crohn's disease, there's diabetes. There is a disease that has to be that's not allowing this girl to absorb the nutrients for these foods, and you know that.
Yeah, you're correct. I do know that. I guess I never thought of it. Where there's no family history. Like I said, recently, regardless of what the pictures show, you know, people who've been around her for 10 months, you know, commented. We all noticed that she was getting bigger. So I was just like, oh, finally, okay, we're through that stage. I was worried for a little bit there, but she's putting on the weight now. You know, she's clearly getting heavier. So I kind of thought we were through it.
let me ask you an honest answer. Do you feel responsible in any way for what happened today?
I feel like that's a bit of a trap question, but
no. Or do you just
stay honest?
Or do you think it's just God's will?
Well, just because it might be God's will doesn't mean that that it's not His will according to our actions, or it doesn't mean that we're not responsible in some way for what has come about. And so I take responsibility on myself for anything that goes wrong in my life at all. Even if it's totally not my fault, what could I have done? I'm sure you'd had something like that in Marine Corps, where it's just like, you're not always in control of everything, but take care of what's on your end to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And
you gotta watch your six.
Yeah. So, for me, do I take some responsibility? Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll never forget it. And I doubt there'll be like 30 minutes where if Tatiana carries this baby to term and you guys let us keep it, I doubt there'll be 30 minutes where there's not somebody checking through the people with a light on in the room.
How did that hole get in the door again?
About 5 years ago, when I styled myself a patriot and a gun nut and all that good stuff, all that cool right-wing stuff, I was working on my AK in the gas tube. I was a total idiot, and the gas tube was stuck, and I was trying to bang it in there, and I went, and the hammer flew out the back of my hand right into the door.
Hey, if the AK don't work, get a hammer.
Well, why is Tatiana saying she put the hole in the door? That's what I'm confused about.
Because she went through a lot when she was a kid. Her memory can sometimes be a little about details and stuff like that. So I don't know why she'd say that.
On Facebook, Seth posted sermons where he called doctors priesthoods of the medical cult and asked, if evolution means survival of the fittest, why vaccinate anybody? Shouldn't we just let the weak die off? When asked to name their religion, he and his wife declined to define it.
Well, we're going to get you guys out of here in a second, but
I have a difficult question to ask you, because I'm asking this, and maybe it was asked, but I know I'm going to be asked this question in the morning. So, have you or Tatiana or your mother and father back at the house, did anybody talk about funeral arrangements, what funeral home you would like her to go to, or?
Yeah, we've kind of touch and go dealt with it.
Okay. Something you guys got to start thinking about.
Yeah, I take it I can't just bury her under an apple tree or something like that. No.
You have to ask. We don't know all the rules of burying and stuff. I don't know. Maybe you can get a permit to do something like that.
Yeah, or you got to Google it maybe.
Yeah, no idea. But you can't just bury her under without getting some kind of process, as far as we know. So.
Yeah, my mom said she knows people, so she would do it somehow.
The other difficult thing here is, and I know you're not going to be happy with it, okay, but I need to collect your phone as evidence as part of this investigation, sure. Okay? One of the things, is there a passcode on your phone? No? Okay. There's two ways that I can go about getting into your phone, okay? I have a form either in here, and if I don't, I can run down the hall and get one.
There you go.
Okay. No, I wasn't doubting you. But there's two ways. We have a lab here in Grand Rapids that we bring these phones to and they get processed. Basically what they do is they make an image of the hard drive on your phone, and then we can return the phone back. Okay. But in order for me to go through your phone, it's not like I'm going to walk out of here and go back to my desk and start looking at everything on your phone, because I can't do that unless you do one of two things. There's two ways that I can do that. I have a consent form that I will allow you to read and sign if you would like to provide me with consent to go through your phone, or I can petition the court for a search warrant to go through your phone. It's up to you.
That's fine.
So,
let's do it.
Do the consent form? Okay.
Can I just go through my messages first and clear everybody up?
No, it's got to stay the way it is.
Okay.
Let me see if I have that form. And then as soon as I get your phone back from the lab, I'll try and get it over to the lab tomorrow. And if I can get your phone back to you by the end of the day tomorrow, I will. Otherwise, I'll get it to you as soon as I can.
Or are you just gonna like bring it to the house or something?
I'll run it to the house, or if you have another, like, you probably don't have another phone number for me to call you at. Seth, remind me, what was your middle name again?
Michael.
Birthday? It is the second, right? All right, if you want to take a minute and just read that form, and then if you're okay with that, just sign it right there when you're done reading it. Something I'm going to do in your presence.
See, just so you know that she's not. She didn't look emaciated to you, does she?
Not in that picture,
Yeah.
no. I'm going to put your phone in airplane mode in your presence.
Okay.
That way, nothing else can come into the phone while we have it, and nothing can go out, obviously. So, you know what this is? An iPhone what? It's 8 or
6, maybe 5. I don't know.
All right. Okay. All right. Give me 5 minutes, and we're going to get you and Tatiana right home. Okay?
Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
The trial record included a peephole. Photos recovered from Seth's phone showed him checking on Mary through her bedroom door. Deputies arrested both parents on August 3, 2018. 3 days later, Seth and Tatiana stood together in jail uniforms as a judge read the charges. Felony murder and first-degree child abuse in the death of their daughter.
In Solon Township, that you're both charged with what they call felony murder while in the perpetration or attempted perpetration of child abuse in the first degree. They're alleging that you murdered one Mary Welch. That is a charge called homicide felony murder. It is life without parole. It requires a DNA sample to be taken upon arrest, which is often like a cotton swab or in the inside of your cheek. The second offense that you're both charged with is called child abuse in the first degree, where they're alleging you knowingly or intentionally caused serious physical harm to a child. They're talking about this Mary Welch. It is a felony, possible penalty of up to life imprisonment or any term of years less than life. Now those are the two separate felony charges. Miss Tatiana Fusari Welch, do you have any questions just about those two charges? No. Mr. Welch, do you have any questions just as to what I've read?
No questions, no, ma'am.
Okay. Let me go through the rights that you have.
The surviving children went to their grandparents in West Olive. That November, the state filed to terminate both parents' rights to them. Less than a week after his arrest, Seth gave interviews from jail. "I believe I am being unfairly charged, being made an example of, for my very strong faith." He also claimed, "Going into the doctor's office these days is just about as dangerous as not going." In October 2018, a judge listened to the 911 call, which included the phrase, "dead as a doornail," and decided both parents would stand trial for murder. Seth's trial came first, in January 2020, about a year and a half after Mary died. After 4 days of testimony and several hours of jury deliberation, he was found guilty on both counts.
On the count of felony murder, count 1, guilty of felony murder as charged. On count 2, guilty of first-degree child abuse as charged, and consistent with the instructions that the jury was given, there are no other.
In Michigan, felony murder means a life sentence without the possibility of parole. According to the latest court records, Seth is inmate number 620104 at the Macomb Correctional Facility. Seth appealed, arguing there was not enough evidence and that his trial lawyer did a poor job. The Court of Appeals upheld his sentence in 2022. Michigan's Supreme Court refused to hear the case. He then went to federal court, but in September 2025, a federal judge denied his petition and did not allow him to appeal. 3 years after the arrest, Tatiana's case ended with the same outcome. She first accepted a no-contest plea, but later withdrew it and went to trial. In October 2021, a jury found her guilty of the same charges as her husband, and she was sentenced to life without parole. Reporters at her trial mentioned that a 4th child was born while she was in jail. As we remember Anne Welch, let's also think about other vulnerable babies in similar situations where parents deny them a quality life and proper care because of their beliefs. If you suspect a child is being neglected or abused, please report it to local authorities or Child Protective Services. Supporting child welfare organizations in your area can help, too. Every action matters, even if it's just speaking up when something feels wrong. Mary weighed 6 pounds, 14 ounces at birth, and 8 pounds at the end of her life. How could anyone not notice this? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. Is there a case you want me to cover? I'll be in the comments, so let me know what you'd like to see done differently. I appreciate all feedback. I'm also curious, what parts of these stories interest you most? Do you prefer deep dives into the legal side, more focus on family background, or the investigation process? Let me know how you want these cases told, or if there are specific aspects you care about most. Your input really helps shape the channel. Her mother's interview is in episode 6. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. See you in the next episode.